There's this really provocative claim that's been making the rounds online. It mixes up faith, history, and a whole lot of misinformation. So today, we're going to dig into the source material and get to the bottom of it. Let's jump right in.
So, what's at the very heart of this whole thing? Well, it's this really startling question. The story that's been spreading all over social media is that a Hindu deity, Lord Shiva, is actually being held captive inside the Kaaba in Mecca. I mean, that's a powerful image, right? And it's really what's fueling this whole story.
And, the claim gets really specific. It says that the ritual where pilgrims throw stones during the Hajj, that's supposedly an attack on Shiva. It even goes so far as to say that the reason Hindus can't enter the holy city is to stop them from rescuing him. It's a very detailed story, but let's take a step back and separate these claims from the actual facts.
Okay, so before we can really tackle the myth, we've got to understand the reality, right? We need to talk about why Mecca and Medina are so important to more than 1 billion Muslims all over the world. These are not just any cities, they are literally the spiritual heart of Islam.
To really get a sense of just how important this pilgrimage is, an analogy might help. For Muslims, the Hajj is this sacred, often once-in-a-lifetime journey to Mecca. It's believed to cleanse a person of their sins. Now think about the Char Dham Yatra in Hinduism. It's a similarly profound journey to 4 holy sites for spiritual merit. In both cases, these are absolute pillars of their faith.
Okay, so let's just quickly run through the key things to know. First up, Mecca. That's where the Kaaba is, that famous cube-shaped building that all Muslims face when they pray. The Hajj, well, that's the actual pilgrimage to Mecca. A huge part of the Hajj is the Tawaf, which is the ritual of circling the Kaaba. And then there's Medina, the city nearby, which is sacred because it's where the Prophet Muhammad's tomb is located. Every single one of these is incredibly important in Islam.
All right, so now that we've got that crucial background, let's circle back to that viral claim. We're going to look right at the part that seems to cause the most confusion, that stone-throwing ritual. This is really the heart of the whole myth.
So here's the absolute core of the confusion, the misinformation, the myth, claims that those 3 stone pillars you see, they're called the Jamarat, are a shivling. But the reality? In Islamic tradition, those pillars actually symbolize Satan. They're there to remember a really foundational story about faith and resisting temptation.
The source material also brings up a really good point that just asks us to think logically for a second. It poses a question to get us thinking critically. So in Hindu theology, Lord Shiva is, an incredibly powerful deity, right? The idea that a being like that could be physically captured and imprisoned by humans, it just doesn't really add up. It's a point that kind of forces you to step back and just ask, does this claim even make sense?
So, what is the real story behind this ritual? Well, it all goes back to the prophet Ibrahim and this incredible test of his faith. God commanded him to sacrifice his own son. As Ibrahim was about to do it, Satan showed up, trying to tempt him, trying to get him to disobey. But Ibrahim refused. He drove Satan away by throwing stones at him. He did this 3 separate times, a powerful symbol of rejecting evil. And in the end, because his faith was so strong, God showed mercy and replaced his son with a goat. So today, when pilgrims throw stones, they're reenacting that very moment. It's about their own personal struggle against temptation, just like Ibrahim. Okay, so this brings us to the final piece of the myth, this idea that non-Muslims are banned from entering to hide some big secret. But the actual reason for the entry rules, well, it comes from a place of faith, not a desire for exclusion.
Now, this is really important to understand. The rule about who can't enter the holy sites in Mecca isn't aimed at Hindus specifically. It actually applies to all non-Muslims. So that includes Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, atheists, anyone from any other belief system. The reason given isn't about targeting any one group. It's based on the Islamic belief that this very sacred space is meant for those who share a sincere and pure faith in Allah.
To kind of get the feeling behind this rule, the source uses an analogy that I think makes a lot of sense. Think about your own home. You'd happily invite guests who respect you in your space, right? But you'd probably think twice about inviting someone who doesn't respect you. Well, in Islam, the Kaaba is seen as the house of God. So, from that perspective, it's open to those who come to honor it with a sincere heart and genuine belief.
So we've broken down this one specific myth, right? We've traced it back to its roots. But honestly, it points to a much, much bigger challenge for all of us. In a world full of viral content, where claims are specifically designed to get a big emotional or religious reaction out of us, how do we protect our own beliefs from misinformation? How do we remember to just pause,
think critically and tell the difference between facts and the kind of fiction that's really just designed to tear us apart.